Leagues 4 is now just 9 days away, and you're going to want some good ways to make GP to pay for things like planks, runes, crafting supplies, and so on. So here's some useful money makers for you. I'm sure you've seen this one already, but I wanted to work out the best use for the Trickster Relic, which will be a great way to make GP if you choose it. Pickpockets are automatic and you can't fail, so that means you're going to be pickpocketing every 1.2 seconds, which works out to 3,000 pickpockets per hour. You also get double the loot, so guards are going to make you 180,000 GP, knights 300k, Yenil Watchmen or Men Who Fight Thugs 360k, paladins 480k and 6,000 chaos runes as well. Heroes are going to get you 375 death runes, 234 blood runes, 93 fire robes, 46 diamonds and 685k. Vias 1.35 million per hour, 727 death runes, 363 bloods, 45 diamonds, and a blood shard on average every 50 minutes. Elves are similar to heroes, but you get 1.55 million per hour, plus a total of 921 shards. Khazar gives you 30,000 Tokkul, but the interesting one to me is a chest on the Isle of Souls. The wiki says this has a 0-second delay between each one, but it's actually not true. So I've tested this out, and it's 2.4 seconds when you actually get something. This chest usually can kick you out of the cave, but that's only when you fail. And because thieving can't fail anymore, it means you're never going to get kicked out. It only requires 28 thieving, and it's in our starter location, so we can do it straight away. Every hour you will get 450 nature and death runes, 1,237 mind runes, 450 guams, 150 renars, 180 lantern a bunch of gems, 42,000 GP and 15 dark keys. And that's probably the best bit, because the dark keys give you so many good supplies, as well as about 40,000 GP extra per hour and a bunch of alchables if you decide not to keep them. A good starting point for any new account is the 10,000 GP that you get from the Stronghold of Security. Just make sure you have your authenticator set up before League start, and then follow the masses of people through here as always, and just keep an eye on your health if it gets below 10. It's rare you get attacked because there's so many people, but we always see someone getting killed here. Whilst that 10k is nice on a normal account in a normal game mode, one strategy you could do is to put all of that into magic at the start, because with boosted XP rates that's going to get you all the way to high alchemy. If you're planning to do a lot of combat, having high alchemy with that might just be all that you need. Next are a couple of money makers that I wouldn't normally put in a video like this, because the GP isn't that good. But if we get Endless Harvest again, which means you gather resources twice as fast, plus they're sent directly to the bank, basic money makers like fletching bows, just to sell to shops, or mining and smithing should be sufficient in Leagues 4, just until we unlock the really powerful combat relics, because at that point we're going to be killing creatures so quickly money just won't be a problem anymore. Before I get into the best region-specific GP moneymakers, I touched on this one in the last video. You can also do the quest Death to the Dorgeshan, which unlocks the ham storerooms, and it's around 100,000 GP per hour, plus a bunch of very useful jewellery. The quest line does take a while though, but auto unlocks if you choose the Desert or Fremennik. The Desert has the obvious one, the Agility Pyramid. Depending on your agility level, this can be up to 250,000 GP per hour, and you should get close to that pretty quickly with boosted XP rates and unlimited run. But there's not much else in the desert other than that. Temporos may be okay money, as the caskets you get do have a lot of alchables and jewellery. At 5 times the normal rate, you get about 5 to 6 chests per hour, with each chest currently being worth 12.5k, which wouldn't be too bad, but by the time you get to 5x, which is essentially level 3 out of 4, I highly doubt many players will still be short of GP. Unlocking the Wilderness means you won't be worrying about GP at all. Revenants are one of the best GP money makers in the game, even if you just kill the lower level ones. The Wilderness bosses are the same, with many alchables on the drop table, and I can't imagine anyone picking the Wilderness isn't going to be doing combat. But you can even alch steel plate bodies at the end of the lava maze, if we manage to unlock our second area quickly and you don't have the combat stats to kill things yet. Morytania is probably not going to be the best place for GP, however, unlocking this area auto completes the quest line up to a Taste of Hope, and if you can then complete that quest, it gives you access to Firewatch, which are great for GP. I did that quest with stats in the 50s from memory and Deadman, and it was quite rough, I'm not going to lie, but the combat relics look to be more powerful so far, if we get to unlock them early on. The other option you have is Barrows, because even with 2 or 3 times the drop rate, which we'll have early on, you should get a few items per hour. Any Barrows gear you don't want or is a duplicate, you can alch for anywhere between 7,000 and 168,000 GP. Plus you can always sell any excess runes that you get. Asgarnia has a gem shop similar to the one in Kourend, and a lot of people contacted me after the last video and said you'll be able to buy gems from the gem shop and the stock will never deplete, rather than what I thought would happen, in which case you have to close the shop and reopen it to get the shop stock back. In that case, you can just buy a full inventory of gems, cut them and sell them back for a profit, whilst getting a ton of crafting XP. Other than that, Asgarnia is a bit of a skilling area, but you do have the mining guild and some yew trees if you want to carry on smithing and fletching for money. But outside of that, the creatures in the Taverley dungeon like blue dragons, black demons, lesser demons, and black dragons generally have 1 or 2 rune items on the drop list, so they're not amazing, but they might just be enough to get you by. And by the time you have the Slayer level for Skeletal Wyverns, which is a good money maker, or to get into the Warriors Guild, again you'll probably have enough GP by this point. Kandarin is home to the Myths Guild, which auto-unlocks when you open a region. That region, yeah, you guessed it, Fremennik, which completely sucks if you're planning on choosing Kandarin but not Fremennik. Thankfully though, the east part of the dungeon can be accessed without completing Dragon Slayer 2, and there you can safe spot Ogress Warriors with either range or magic, and the loot table is fairly decent for a creature that's quite easy to kill, including 3 rune items and 500 to 1000 GP drops. Samurai warriors in the cave here are also a good way to train magic at low level and still make a profit. They've got no magic defense at all, so you almost always hit at any level. They've only got 45 hit points, and the standard drop is 100 GP, plus they drop a rune sim and a rune dagger. Now obviously that's using a very basic spell like Fire Strike, but with 5 times the XP rate it's still a good money maker and good XP. You can also steal silk here from one of the stalls, although if you have the Trickster relic you're better off just pickpocketing. If you don't though, stealing silks is 36,000 GP per hour and a good amount of XP. So this leagues we get boosted points from minigames, and you get GP from the Barbarian Assault gambles. But I personally think that's only really going to be worth doing if you're also using it to get supplies too. And even then you probably want to do it later on when the multiplier is much higher. Part of Fremennik is Kelder Grim, which has the Blast Furnace. We've got unlimited stocks from shops and the ore here is very cheap. You can use the Blast Furnace itself or just a regular one, it really doesn't matter. Whilst iron plate bodies are only a small profit of about 100 GP, once you get to steel or mithril it's 500 to 600 profit each one. On its own it wouldn't be amazing money, but if we get Production Master again, which instantly smelts bars and smiths any bars that we've got on our inventory in one go, or anything similar to that, it will turn this into a very good money maker. The quest Fremennik Trials is automatically completed, so you just need to start the quest Fremennik Isles and you'll be able to kill ice trolls. The best part about these is similar to God Wars dungeons, you only need to do a little bit of damage and you still get the drop even though the guards are hitting them too. Over this side you take a little bit more damage because there's an ice troll female that patrols the area and only attacks you, but you can reset her if you don't have protection prayers yet just by running back to this spot here. The Natives Not side requires you partially complete the quest, but you can safe spot the 3 or 4 here without taking any damage at all if you prefer. These drop the Rune Kite Shield 1 in 64 and a Granite Shield and Rune Warhammer 1 in 128. A big part of picking this area is the Kingdom of Miscellanea, and if you want that 7.5 million GP quickly for all those supplies, then you're really going to want to start farming Vorkath as soon as you can. Dragon Slayer 2 is automatically completed as I mentioned before in this area, so that's all the requirements completed and you can kill it as soon as you're ready. Tyranwynn is essentially an area that's meant for high levels, but it has a few good money makers for low levels, considering that access to this place requires level 70 and lots of stats. Now I didn't choose this region last time, so I'm not 100% sure on this part, but there doesn't seem to be any specific requirements for Zolcano. The Song of the Elf quest to access Widerness requires 70 mining, but since it's auto unlocked, it seems that you may be able to do this even at a low level. But again, please let me know and I'll pin it in the comments because I didn't do this last time. Zolcano drops a ton of ores, bars and runes, so you can smith the drops and alchemy for a lot of GP. Next one is a bit more mid-level, but there's a staff shop here where you can buy battle staffs, and a rune shop giving you access to nature and cosmic runes. The hardest part about this method is a good source of charged orbs to make the battle staffs. Water Fiends drop 6 to 10 water orbs 1 in 15 kills, otherwise you're probably going to have to source them from another region. But if you can do that, each one that you make after the cost of runes and then high elk is about 1.7 thousand GP profit, and again, you'll be getting a lot of XP at the same time. The dungeon has quite a lot of good creatures to kill, but most have high slayer requirements. For low level combat here, your best bet is probably the guards and Lita, who can be safe spotted. They have green D-hide on a drop table, Addy full helm, and a rune dagger, which will get you a moderate amount of money whilst you train up your stats. Where to start? Okay, Winter Todd, you will get a decent amount of GP plus logs, which you can fletch and sell, and ores that you can smith and sell. The problem is, do you want to do this early to make money, or save it for later when we unlock the higher multipliers in minigames? If you haven't unlocked Trickster, stealing artifacts can be done at level 49 Thieving and will make you about 45,000 GP per hour. If you have protection prayers when you open this area, you can go into Forthos Dungeon, kill the temple spiders or undead druids, which drop a few alcohols, plus pages that can be sold for 1k each, and you've got unlimited prayer here from the altar. The catacombs have a whole host of things that you can kill, although it's probably better just to do Slayer tasks from Konar as soon as you have the combat level requirement of 75 for the chance to get Brimstone keys, because they give you 50 to 150k and rune items pretty commonly. Lastly is probably one of the best if you're comfortable with the method, but you can safe spot Lizardman Shaman in this spot here. You are going to need your Shazian armor first and probably at least an Addy crossbow, but ideally rune. These are one of the best pure GP moneymakers in the game, and they only have 140 overall defense with no range defense. If you choose the range perk, you're going to tear through these anyway and level up at the same time, plus make a ton of GP. Next I'll be going through all the new relics and how to get the best out of each one.